I'm in an alley in the middle of Chicago, and behind me there's a secret pizza place that you can only buy pies once a month. It's in such high demand that it sells out within seconds, and people have spent upwards of $1,000 for a single pie.
I'm so excited for this. I've been wanting to get this since like summer.
But what if I told you that all of these pizzas are made in his home kitchen? And to top it off, he doesn't make a dime. So why would somebody make something so exclusive and then take nothing in return? And how did he create the most secret pizza place in all of Chicago? Well, I'm gonna spend the next 2 nights with John from Crust Fund Pizza to find out. I met up with John on night 1 to help him prep for the following night's pizza drop. John works a regular job and also has a family, so he works late into the night preparing for everything. When I walked in, he was working on his sauce. So how long did it take you to come up with the sauce recipe?
You know, I tweaked and I kind of still tweak, but I want to say this is like fairly close to what I was making in like 2020 when we started this.
The sauce consists of tomato paste, crushed tomatoes, garlic, honey, red wine vinegar, dried spices, and a secret ingredient that might seem weird for a pizza.
Fish sauce, specifically
Fish sauce.
3 Crabs brand. If you think about
Really?
It's not that different from the carrot. Like a lot of places will sneak a sardine in.
Okay, yeah,
This
because you get that
is
saltiness.
Salty, fermented, a just huge punch of umami. This is a lot easier to handle than trying to manage the sardine inventory in a little oily jar.
John lets the ingredients simmer together and then adds Marmite, a yeast extract that also adds depth to the sauce. From there, it simmers for a while. It's important to note that when most people think of Chicago pizza, they're thinking deep dish. But John specializes in tavern-style pizza, which is another Chicago staple, but it's thin and crispy.
So take 12 take 12 tavern pizzas, you stack them up, you might get to the lip of that pan. Very thin, stretched out, very thin, cut into squares, topped really generously, good cheese because we are lucky enough to live near Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then, you know, most often, for me at least, sausage and giardiniera. Like the entire rest of the country, pepperoni is the most popular topping. And we make a lot of pepperoni here and have it, but sausage here is the most popular local topping.
One thing that sets John apart too is that he makes almost everything from scratch, including the giardiniera and the sausage. There's a level of care and detail that he puts into his food that surpasses most restaurants. I couldn't help but wonder, how did this all start?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but there were some weeks where we all had to stay inside almost all the time.
Vaguely.
So we started making pizza every single Friday for the kids when we like load up a movie on the iPad. You know, it's just some nice family time. And by the time that I wanted to do something with this, we had pizza after pizza after pizza after pizza kind of behind us in terms of just like how I knew how to make it, what I wanted to change, what I wanted to work with, what I wanted to tweak.
Did you have a background in making pie before, or?
I had pizza recipes. I had a background in food writing, catering, recipe development, but not pizza specifically. However, like this tavern style, and we really call it tavern style now because it's become such a big regional thing. You know, growing up it was like thin crust or pizza or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just had eaten it for so much of my entire life.
Right.
That you know, it's like you have to like if you know how something tastes and you know how you want it to taste, that's like the first step towards messing around with the recipe. Otherwise, you're just kind of adjusting variables. Like I was trying to chase the pizza that I remembered from my childhood that probably isn't as good as what we ended up on. And like, that's where we're still kind of going to today.
How did it turn into this sort of charity giving back? Like when did you decide you wanted to start selling them?
And I was staying home with 2 kids whose daycare was closed. You know, my job, we were still fully remote. I felt like I wasn't really doing anything particularly positive for, you know, Chicago. And I decided, well, if this is the only thing I can do at a high replicable level that I like, then maybe I'll just do that. And I had, you know, you'll never run out of amazing nonprofit neighborhood organizations in Chicago. There are so many people here that spend their entire career, their entire lives doing good for others. And I thought, well, if all I can do is push some money that way, then that's what I'll do.
And since then, John's raised over $100,000 for local charities in Chicago. And he has a really unique setup for buying them. The alert goes out a few days before the pizza sells, and it's luck of the draw. However, the last pizza left goes up for auction, and people have paid into the thousands for a chance to get this pizza. In fact, this week, his pies sold out in about 30 seconds. So what's been John's secret for making pizza this good? He told me a lot of it starts with the dough. So we headed into his basement, where he converted his water meter room into a dough station.
So what are we doing?
You're sheeting the dough. So you could do this with a rolling pin, but after the first few thousand, I decided I didn't want to do it with a rolling pin anymore.
Yeah.
You get it super thin. I do 14-inch pizzas, so they're all the same size. But you just feed it through, and it's got these rollers in there that just squeeze out all the air. You won't get any additional bubbling or anything. I got nothing against a pizza bubble, but it's not for a tavern pie.
The dough that John makes is cold fermented, which gives it a similar taste to sourdough. This wasn't how he was doing it originally, and I asked him how he figured this process out.
If you do a lot of pizzas, I probably just accidentally made too much or missed a week or something, and then I had pizza from a week ago, or dough from a week prior, and tried it and was like, wait a minute here, what are we doing?
That's interesting.
So then it sits here for a few hours to do something called curing. So it loses about 10% of its weight, and that's all just moisture diffusion. It just dries out a little bit.
Oh, cool.
That is really determined by my old house and how dry it is in a given season. I can do this in a couple hours today. It would take me 8 or 9, in the summertime when it's exceptionally humid, even with the AC running, to where I just have a fan. So I have different finishes for different types of year. When you're writing out the recipe for this, it's a lot of feel, right?
Yeah.
You don't have time to measure everything always if you're doing a lot of pizza, but you can measure what happens once and know how it feels. So that's how I figured out how much drier I wanted the pizza than what it was when it just came out like this. And that was just done by weighing the pizza after all the flour, and then weighing it after an hour, weighing it after 2 hours, weighing it after 3 hours. The nice thing is you really only have to do it once.
Yeah. But I'm sure at the start it's just a lot of trial and error, huh?
I think pizza itself is a lot of trial and error. The one thing I can tell you and do, my recipe for the sauce, my rationale for the cheese brands I use, my exact dough recipe, you can have it, it's out there. What I can't teach you to do the first time is to make something round.
Right, yeah.
It's people, what's the most important thing? And I'm like, patience with yourself. Because your first pizza night, you're gonna throw it with your wife or your loved ones or your friends. It's a big party. And especially if you're cooking on an uni or something with a live fire, none of those are gonna be edible. And you're gonna be a little mad at yourself.
Yep.
So what you should really do is just plan for the first failures and be like, we're gonna learn here.
I also think it's important for everybody to know that we got here 8:30 at night. So you've been living a regular life, taking care of your family, everything, and then on top of that, spending all of this time making pizza for people. It's really incredible.
It's that kind of chaotic energy of a middle-aged dad. If it wasn't this, God, can you imagine if I had a little tiny model train set in here? Because there's an alternate version of me somewhere that's doing that.
It is really interesting to think that things could be different. But thankfully, John's fixation's been on making incredible pizza and helping people. After he finished the dough, it's time to go upstairs and blend the sauce for tomorrow night. And I finally get a small taste of what might be the hardest pizza to get in Chicago.
Yeah, it's really good sauce.
A lot of Chicago sauces will be noticeably very sweet, especially on the south side. Great chain called Aurelio's, and some people prefer it almost candy sweet.
Yeah.
Never been my thing, but I do a little bit of honey in there, a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice, and I think with all the toppings on it and stuff, and it's gonna have a nice balance.
Yeah, you have to remember that there is some full-fat mozzarella cheese going on top of this, so you want it to be a little acidic, a little bright. I might put a splash more vinegar in there. That would be it.
It was getting late, so we left John's for the night. The next day I explored Chicago, and I couldn't stop thinking about what this pizza was going to taste like, and what the night was going to bring. It was 30 minutes before the first customers were arriving, and as I got back to John's house, he was working on getting his first batch of pizzas in the oven. I could not wait to try this food tonight.
As you said, you pretty much only have 2 pizzas tonight that you're making, and then, 1 specialty cheese.
Yeah, so most of what I sell every single month is called the Royko. It's named after former Tribune and sometimes columnist Mike Royko, legendary Chicagoan, a chronicler of the everyday ups and downs of living in this city. That sausage that I make myself and giardiniera that today I've made myself. And the other thing that I usually sell the most of is the special, and that changes every single month depending on like what I was doing.
Yeah.
This is from a pizza I made on a consulting trip like 7,000 miles away. I wanted to recreate it because we had so much fun with it, and it's tandoori chicken with giardiniera, coriander chutney, some cilantro, a very special like butter chicken kind of pizza sauce.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
The first batch of pizzas was almost ready to go. John lines them first with parchment paper to avoid using flour, and about halfway through the cook, the paper comes off and the pie goes right onto the baking steel to finish cooking. And after a few more minutes, the pizza's ready to come out of the oven.
This looks beautiful underneath.
Oh, wow.
So we give them 2 minutes on a cooling rack, because if you just put these things on a cardboard, cut it, put it in a box, all that steam comes up and it just like ruins all that work you did to try to get a soft crust.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
a crispy crust.
Yeah, yeah. It's like putting fries in a box like that.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
they
here-
smell delicious.
So you can see, and this, I'll actually give this another minute.
Yeah, so it really does sort of depend on the oven, even though it's the same oven. They're just stacked different.
Yeah, and I'm not weighing every piece of cheese, and I also am baking with tandoori chicken on that, which releases its own moisture.
Right, and this one is paneer, right? I mean,
Yeah, this is the paneer special, and that one is the tandoori, so that's going to release a little more moisture than the paneer. This paneer looks good. Makes me
Yeah,
want to
it
give
really
up meat
does.
just for a hot second.
So how does your family feel about you doing this?
My kids love it. They would be down here if they had their way, but I only do this with them when they're off of school. My wife is just the most patient person in the entire world.
Yeah, I could imagine. This is a big undertaking to, have people in and out of your house all the time.
Oh my God. I still remember the conversation I had with her, like, probably July 2020 or early August. I was like, I think I want to make a few pizzas and just see if we can, like, get some donations, right? And then, yeah, fast forward like 5 years and a couple months, and I'm like, I need to go to Kuwait for several days, and you'll be in charge of the children.
That is such an exponential ramp up.
It's like, it's what you asked me yesterday, what's the plan? I'm like, plan? Like, this is so silly. This has already been the wildest thing I've done in my life. Like, what is next year gonna bring? You tell me.
Yeah. That's got to be exciting, though. I mean, it kind of can take you wherever you want it to go.
Well, it's great, because like no matter what happens, no matter where I go, no matter where I end up, like I get to like produce something like this that like I love and I want to eat and I'm proud of. And like if it falls back to only doing this with Fridays, like with my wife and the kids, like that'll be awesome too, because that's what it's about.
Do you feel any sort of extra pressure now, though, that there is so much hype around the pizza? Like, do you have like this, I don't know, yearning to make it better every week, or are you just
Yeah,
happy
but
to
that's
do it?
just like that's just like the internal meatball in me is like a guy who really wants to be the best at this hobby that he's been dicking around in this very intense fashion.
Right.
Honestly, if people got sick of my song and dance, about like a secret pizzeria and stuff, and like it was easier for people to get pizza, like I wouldn't even hate that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good perspective. I feel like sometimes when you get really good at something, it can kind of drive you crazy.
John is so relaxed going into this night, it's astonishing. And you can tell he's genuinely happy doing what he's doing. It was time for him to cut the pizza. And once he gets the pizzas cut, it was time to open the garage and head to the alley. There was only a few pickups this hour, but it was cool seeing John interact with this community. As we were walking inside, John told me that one of the customers paid $350 for their pizza today. It got me thinking about what these connections to the community must feel like for John.
So are these people that you know, or have you met them through?
No, that's the coolest part, right? Like these are people. Sometimes they're people I know, but generally it's people I only know because of this.
Yeah.
And I am as averse to meeting strangers as any other middle-aged person, but these are like people who support the same causes I support, like the same food I like. Like, turns out you just kind of introduce yourself to a new group of cool people like every single month when you do this. And
Yeah, that's cool.
I didn't really see that coming in, but now I'm like, this is the best part.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so when you're saucing this pie, what's the sort of thesis behind this?
I used to weigh it out, and now I just kind of do it by eyeball, but I still have the recipe sheets if you want to see them. The idea is like the sauce should be the star, at least to an extent.
Right.
Like I was saying, you have a limited amount of time and space to impress with sauce on this. It's why we cook it. It's why we use like quality ingredients. It's why we fuss over it. It's why I do all those things.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just like blend up some cheap tomatoes and throw like too much cheese on it. And like, people like it. It's great, but it's not what I do and it's not what I like. So I want to make the pizza I myself would want to eat.
So you hit it with some parm first?
First and then last.
Oh, cool.
I've never had complaints about too much parm.
Yeah, that's fair.
I use the good, like the Parmigiano Reggiano. That is, you don't always have to spend the most money to make a pizza, but like you'll never be mad that you spent on the parm.
Is that kind of what keeps you going a little bit though? Like that, you get to be super creative and sort of learn?
Yeah, if there wasn't something new at the end of this, or I feel like it wasn't a chance to try something different or express something different, like I don't know if I'd find it as exciting as I do. And there's always like new people to meet, I think the best part is like I'm a guy who's into food just in general.
Right.
Like I am known for this, but I love to eat just all kinds of stuff. And part of the fun is like you can throw anything on a pizza. Yeah, this isn't terribly photogenic, but it's the best way to diffuse flavor. So I make the sausage and I vacuum seal it.
Yeah, it's smart.
And it's easy to portion that way too.
So is it more of an Italian sausage or is this like your own thing?
And it's like Italian sausage, a little bit of Polish spicing.
Okay.
It's very fatty pork butt.
Nice.
And then there's a ton of garlic. There's some paprika, herbs, marjoram. But it's good. Like it should be like we put it on these kind of like teeny boulders, and the idea is that you don't want it to be smooth like a meatball. You want it to bake and get browning on the edges.
Right.
And kind of bake inconsistently in a good way. And like I told you, that this is 40% of what I make is a sausage and giardiniera. I want to say that every one of the pickups this hour but one is sausage and giardiniera.
The next set of pizzas were in the oven when John's longtime friend Mike arrived to help out for the rest of the night. It was time for the next pickup, and when we headed back down to the alley, there was already a large group of people there. So we cracked a beer and decided to hang out.
Have you guys ever tried the food before? Have you gotten pizza here before? Or?
I have tried it. A buddy picked it up once. And it worth there. All the hassle of
He came back and he's like, surely it can't be that disappointing.
it was incredible, and I was like, I'm going to try even harder on Instagram.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. What'd you get?
I did sausage jar.
Oh, sick.
So I told you, I'm telling him 40% of what I sell is sausage jar.
Yeah, that's what you guys got too?
Tavern-style.
Let's go.
Jen was asking me how many pizzas do you do, and I say it entirely depends on the weather. Like this is good winter, but sometimes like, especially if we get snow, like I have to shovel out all the way because like, it's not even a nice Midwestern thing. It's like if you get stuck here, then I feel responsible, and you're blocking the alley. So like I shovel and salt all the way out. So if it's like that, and it's like that's part of prep instead of just food prep, I'm like I'll do like 10.
Should have ever opened a spot?
No, this seems complicated enough, right? No, my kids are little. Like I used to work in kitchens and stuff. Like I know how much time and commitment it takes to like open your own place. Yeah, and like I don't get the time with the kids back because I got really good at controlling margins or labor costs. So like better to do it like this.
As everyone hung out and enjoyed their pizza, we had one more batch to make before the night was over. And for the last time slot, a group of highly respected chefs that John's friends with came over. And John invited them into the house so they could see his process. Most of them have never had the opportunity to try his food. As we were all hanging out, it hit me how cool it was to see the community that John's built just from making pizza in his kitchen. And when the food was done, everyone headed to the garage to enjoy it. We hung out for a while, and every one of them said that the food was 10 out of 10. It was getting late, so we said our goodbyes and headed back inside. John cooked up the last pie for the month. And after watching what everyone went through to get their pizza, I felt incredibly grateful that I was here and I was about to try John's food.
All right, I've been waiting for this, guys. You ready to eat?
Let's do it.
Let's get after it. Do you need a beer?
I have one right here.
Nice. So we were lucky enough to have both pizzas today, so thank you, John, for hooking us up.
For sure.
Mike, you want to eat? Come on, man. Sit in. Oh, look at that. Why can't I open this box? There it is. Oh, that looks incredible. All right, I got to dive into this right here. What, here. How would you tackle this if it was your first slice? One in the corner, one
I
in
go
the middle?
corner adjacent myself, so not quite the corner, but not quite the middle edge. We're talking like that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy.
Okay, this one's speaking to me.
It's a representative sampling.
Look at that. Oh my gosh. Do you eat this a lot?
I've had it twice,
Really?
and I dream about it all the time.
Oh, I'm so excited. Kind of want John to come back before I try it, but at the same time, I kind of want to try it.
I want the whole thing. You gotta get it.
Yeah, all right, I'll get after it. Oh, wow. Dude, this is insane. That sausage is perfect. I can't believe he makes this himself, man. This is incredible. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. It's really good. I can see why people go wild trying to get this. All right, I'm gonna get after this. I'm excited. So you got this.
It actually should work pretty well with the pork too. The only reason it wasn't pork over there was because, well.
Right, yeah. Oh, wow, it's good. The white sauce and the red sauce together.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't call it a pink sauce because it's not appetizing.
Yeah, kind of like a butter chicken vibe to it, but it's, yeah.
This is like a compound butter kind of put on the crust direct, and then that white sauce you get from any cart, and then the pizza sauce. Like, it's good.
I think it's crazy that you do this for your community, man. In a good way. Like, this is awesome.
That's great. I mean, everybody assumes I want to open a restaurant or like franchise something, but I just really like meeting people in an alley and having an excuse to keep the garage clean once a month.
What does this city mean to you? It seems like you have a lot of pride here.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, I wouldn't raise my kids anywhere else. I wouldn't send them to school anywhere else. This is like it. This is, no matter where you grow up or what place you're from, like you eventually, hopefully, like blessedly reach an idea of home. And like, this is the idea of home to me, and getting to share it with people is, it's the best, And if people feel like a little bit of home when they have this pizza, then those are my people too.
As we were sitting here talking, I really did feel at home. John has this unique way of making everyone feel welcome, and it's obvious with the community that he's built that he not only cares about food, but he cares about people and the connection with his community. And in the end, isn't that what matters most? I know for me, this is a night I'll never forget. Subscribe for the next one.